Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Hacking with the Homies Developer Conference. My name is Jessica Vaughn, and I'm one of the co-founders here with the organization and the conference. And, on behalf of Detroit Black Tech, as well as our Hacking with the Homies team, we really just want to say thank you to everybody for being here and, trusting us with your time and your focus for this weekend. We really want to come to you with some high impact topics that we really think will affect all of our careers in the near and distant future, and that's really our goal. So for those that aren't familiar, Detroit Black Tech is a nonprofit group that we founded here locally, with the goal to unite and strengthen our local developer community. And, fast forward, I guess, over 4 years now, we are hosting this year our third annual Hacking with the Homies conference. And really, this conference came about because, we knew that there was so much more work to be done, not just in Detroit and Michigan, but in the broader community throughout our country. And, at some point, I would love to say that we'll go international with our organization. But really, our goal for Detroit Black Tech and our goal for Hacking with the Homies is to make sure that our community is at the forefront of technology, different topics that are being introduced into our industry, and making sure that, we are future proofing our jobs and our livelihood, and that we're also being those leaders in the tech space as well. And so whenever we're bringing you these conference talks, we always want to think about that and think about topics that we feel like maybe we don't know enough about, or we want to bring to the forefront. So this year we have a great lineup of speakers, and the two areas that we really want to focus on for our industry are the low code, no code tools, how we can incorporate them into different types of technical projects, and then buzzwords that I know everyone has been hearing about. We're also going to talk a lot about blockchain technology. We'll be starting that today, as well as having a full day tomorrow where we'll even get into some other topics like NFTs. So before I pass it over to Mac to get us started, I just want to say again, thank you to our volunteers. Thank you to all of our speakers. We're so happy to have so many talented folks on our agenda today and tomorrow. So we know you're going to get a lot out of all the material that they have to cover for you. And I hope you all learned something new, and this is a boost in kickstarting your career growth in 2022 and beyond. So with that being said, I'll give Mac a chance to jump in here as well and go ahead and let us know what we can expect for today.
Hey, Jessica, thank you.
Hello.
Hopefully everybody can hear me. Yep, so good. So I am super excited to see everyone virtually here at Hacking with the Homies. This is like our third year, like Jessica said. This is amazing. And I really truly believe that what we're doing here is helping you get to learn about topics that necessarily you hear about, but you don't necessarily have the time to dig into. And like I was talking to a few people yesterday, the whole goal here is that we want you to at least hear about some of these topics. We want you to walk away with a Git repo that has some sample code. So if you're ever in situations and you're in a room and your development manager saying, "Hey, we're thinking about adding, low code, no code tools to our tool belt," you at least know what that means. Likewise, if they say, "Hey, we want to start adding a crypto wallet," you'll have some background, at least sat through a session perhaps that talks through that. So just really quickly, our format hasn't really changed on how we deliver. It is really 3 slides, and then the rest is all code. Now, we have added a workshop component tomorrow, and that is a little different. We actually are like a hands-on workshop. So we're walking you through a set of things, and those things will end up being at the very end. You'll walk away from that workshop actually minting, or AKA creating your own NFT. So we'll teach you kind of how to do that, but so that format's a little different. But we're staying true to our format today. 3 slides and all code. Now there's a Git repo that we'll post in the chat that has a list of all of the slides for the day. and also has all of the Git repos for the day. So, and it'll be being updated throughout the day. You know how us developers are, last minute tweaks to the code, all that good stuff. So, they'll be updated throughout the day with changes and things of that nature. So, I guess I wanted to, now that I kind of gave you kind of the background, what things are going to happen, I wanted to transition into our first speaker today. So our first speaker today will be, I consider her a friend, and I'm so excited to see her, just her growth in the industry. I met Angie Jones like years ago at a conference, and it was really kind of the catalyst for Hacking with the Homies. We were at a conference, and there wasn't a lot of African Americans there, and we were. I think I was speaking, she was speaking, and definitely she. I saw her talk; she was amazing. And then we've had her at Hacking with the Homies at a prior year, but now she's taken on a new role at Block. And if those who don't know what that company does, it used to be called Square, and it's the company behind the Square POS systems and and Cash App. And I know a lot of us are using Cash App. I use Cash App every day. So I thought it would be interesting to have Angie kind of come, just talk to us about, some of her thoughts. So we're going to do this kind of a fireside chat style and just kind of talk it up, right? We're among spam, so we're going to do this. So Angie, if you want to join on stage, let's get it going.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on?
nothing much.
Nothing much. I know you're a little busy, just a little bit, because I think you just kind of recently started at Block, right?
Yes, in December, right before the holidays.
Yeah. So, first, I guess, how is that going? Let's talk about that. How is it going? New job? Are you really busy? What's going on?
Mac. So I've been in the game for a long time. You know this.
Yeah.
And I'm used to being, like an expert and at the top of my game. But I recently moved into this blockchain space and everything is new. So I haven't felt this green in a very long time, which is good, right? We want to continue to grow and stretch ourselves.
Yeah. So, and that's when I saw that, and we'll get into it in a second, but when I saw that because you made a post like, hey, I got some exciting news, and I was like, because you tweet a lot, you definitely got a strong following, and I was like, I'm one of those people. I'm like, oh, where's she going? So you finally kind of announced it, and you put a blog article out about like why you went to the block or to Block. Angie told me like, you better get the name right. It's Block, no the Block. Okay, so so like I didn't know like that blog post like really exposed a lot of things about you, and we'll get into that in a second. But I always start with this question, and I'm always so curious. Is like how did you get into like computers? Like, what was your first computer? I guess.
Yeah. So I don't have the typical techie background story. I didn't really use computers or anything like that in school or growing up. I had no idea that software engineering was even a profession. Like that was totally off of my radar. So I graduated high school and I knew I wanted to go to college, so I went to school. I didn't know what to major in at all. Like nothing seemed interesting to me. And my father at the time was an accountant, and he saw. So this was before like cell phones were prevalent. This was like back in the day, right? But he could see that this was an emerging space. Technology was, and he said, "Yo, I don't know what you're gonna end up doing, but every job needs to know how to use a computer. That's what I foresee. And so you should take some sort of computer class just so you know how to use it." And me not knowing anything about anything, I just look like what says computer. And I enrolled in this C++ programming course. And I actually loved it, and I did well in it. And that professor encouraged me to change my major to computer science. So that's how I got in.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of had some of the similar story. My dad worked on obviously I live in Detroit, and my dad worked in the plants in Detroit. And he said, boy, one day he came home, he's like, boy, I think these computer things are going to be big. And he took me to a store local here called Montgomery Ward, kind of like the Best Buy of back in the day, and got me a computer, and that's kind of how I got hooked. So that's interesting. So interesting that somebody, it's always interesting and intriguing to hear that was somebody else that necessarily wasn't like a lot of our coworkers. They were like, yeah, my dad worked at IBM, and he had a computer, and I played with it. I didn't have that type of any type of friends like that. I was the only kid on the block that was in the computer. So you went on and you got a BS and MS in computer science. So that's pretty dope. So I guess you were already in college. So what drove you to that was basically somebody telling you. It was the family members again. Was that a family member that just said?
That was my dad. Yeah.
Your dad. Okay, your dad. Okay, your dad told you. Okay, got you. So that kind of was the thing that was the catalyst there. And then when you were in the computer science program, was there a certain area that you really enjoyed or focused on?
I loved the program, just coding. That was my jam. I found it so exciting to go, and I still didn't have a computer, so I would go to the computer lab on campus, and you open up this blank sheet. I don't even think we weren't even using IDs back then. It was like a notepad. We would open up notepad, we would write our code, and then we would be on the terminal or the console, compiling it and running it, and then we would save it on a floppy disk. We would turn that bad boy in. So that was my intro. But I used to be so excited. I remember as soon as we would get our programming homework, I would run to the lab, because creating something out of nothing and then watching it execute is just magic to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's facts. So what made you get into developer advocacy? I was trying to figure out I was reading your profile, I was reading your LinkedIn, and kind of reviewing all that stuff. What kind of drove you there? I know you were a software engineer for a while, and then you kind of moved into developer advocacy. What was this? What excited you about that space?
Yeah, so I naturally just started educating my peers on different software engineering topics, right? And the reason I started doing it is because twofold. One is because I remember having lots of job recs open and trying to hire folks, and we couldn't find people that met the caliber of what we were looking for, and we would end up losing some of those job recs because we couldn't fill them. So I knew then, okay, there's education that's needed in the space, and so I'll start blogging about some of the stuff that we're doing, some of the tools we're using, how to best do them, and stuff like that. And then another thing was I went to a tech conference, and I went into several sessions before I started speaking, and I didn't really learn anything, Mac. And as opposed to blaming the conference, I thought to myself, well, if you know everything, why aren't you on the stage? And it was a challenge to myself. And so I just wanted to do one talk, Mac. That was my goal. I just want to do one talk before I leave the earth, And so I set out to do that, and eventually started writing a lot and speaking a whole lot, and it became this whole other thing that was supposed to be something on the side. But I was working at Twitter at the time, and remember being on the road about 80% of the time with this side thing, and they were very supportive, which is great, but I was killing myself because you can't take off 80% of the time, right? So I had to still do my engineering work and do this as well. And so I said, if only there was a way that I could get paid to do this sort of stuff because I really like it and think that there's a need for it. And someone told me about developer relations. And I hadn't even heard of that before, but that's essentially a role where your job is to educate the broader global developer community. So that's what I do now.
So thank you. Now that I appreciate that. That fills a gap that I was wondering how you got there. Um, and I remember seeing you talk. We were at OSCON, which is an open source conference put on by O'Reilly, and I was like, man, she's dope. And because just the way you command the audience and things of that nature. And I was like, yo. And I know that you probably thought I was crazy at the time. I was like, I'm gonna get you to Detroit one day to do a to do a conference. I'm gonna start this thing and I'm gonna get you there. And it took about 3 years or 2 years at least to get you there because you did do our first conference as well 3 years back. So now you're at Block. Like first of all, what brought you to Block?
Several different things. So one, blockchain, as we all know, is this emerging technology, especially Web3, which has been on the rise the last couple of years and really made a splash, I would say 2021, right? So now you can't even watch the Super Bowl without hearing about crypto these days. So as a technologist and someone who as a developer advocate as well, I like to stay on the cutting edge of things so that I can help other engineers who are, bogged down with their day-to-day work and don't have time to explore every new thing that's coming out. That's kind of my job, to explore these things and make sure I understand what they are. And so I started looking into it and I found it like really interesting, but something else clicked there. As I started looking at the use cases, it all started seeming very familiar with a lot of the things that I've done over the years, right? So on the side, like I run a fashion game, a fashion dress up game. And it's a web app where people purchase like outfits for their doll and stuff like that. So this really reminded me of like avatars and NFTs and why people would find value in those sort of things. I used to explore in Second Life, which was one of the MetaVerses, one of the most popular MetaVerses back in the day. And I would be in there and it was just like this totally different world where a lot of opportunity was there. I remember like having rough days at work and I would teleport to Niagara Falls so that I could sit and like listen to the water and view it. And that gave me a calming in real life as well. But not only that, I saw like really amazing things happening in there, like storefronts, conferences, concerts, all sorts of things were happening in the metaverse. And so when I start seeing like Mark Zuckerberg talking about he about to launch one, I started hearing about crypto, I started hearing about blockchain, I started hearing about NFT, I started putting all of this stuff together and it was extremely intriguing to me. But more than anything else, me trying to learn about it was a difficult task. Mac, I would have to consume like 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces on a particular topic just to understand it, because these folks are talking at such a level that they assume some base foundational knowledge. And I didn't know anything about this stuff, right? Right. And so I would have to piece it together, and it became very clear to me, if this is an emergent space, we need educators in this space that can make it plain. And that is my specialty, of being able to break something down that's pretty complex so that everyone in the room, no matter their background, they don't even have to be in tech, I can help them understand it. And so Block, I used to work at Twitter, and Jack Dorsey was the CEO there. So I saw Jack start this new blockchain division at Square, and we linked up and, said, this might be a good opportunity. So I went forward.
That's dope. So like I didn't, so from what this division is going to do, and I know it's to be determined based on the everything I see is always TBD, and there's some.
TBD is the name, Mac.
Oh,
They're quirky. So TBD is that's actually the name. And
okay.
what it means is more of like, yes, it's a play on to be determined, but it means like it'll ever be evolving. The work is never done because there's always more to do.
No, that just cleared up for me because I'm like, what? They got this TBD, and I see some digits after it. I'm like, well, okay, they really put some type. This is like the project code. This is what I was like, this is the project code. They put it here. So why do you like? Why do like Block need developer advocacy? Because like they don't have anything like I look at their current portfolio, right,
Mhm.
of Square and Cash App. I'm not so familiar with Square, but definitely Cash App. I don't see a way because I've tried. Like, how can I like have an API to do some stuff to add it to my website or do something like that? So they don't really have that. So is this going to be something? This developer advocacy group is going to be something for a new set of products to support that, or what's the deal there?
Yeah. So the
Okay.
stuff I'm working on is going to be open source. So
Oh,
we want developers contributing. Max, senior people, all of y'all out there listening, if this intrigues you, come help us develop. But yeah, it's going to be an open source, decentralized exchange that will allow you, because right now, that's the other thing about this space. It's kind of the wild, wild west right now. Like there's a lot that's going on and there's a lot that's going wrong. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of learning and bumps and bruises. And those bumps and bruises along the way are pretty profound because now we're dealing with people's money, right? So this is something that's serious business. So we want to develop this decentralized exchange that will allow people to easily get on and off ramp. So if we look at, and that's something I want to talk about too, as we're looking in the Web3 space, a lot of people who are developing in this space are still using a lot of centralized technology, which kind of goes against the whole purpose of Web3. So we want to move toward more decentralization, but the problem with decentralization is that the user experience sucks, right? Nobody wants to roll their own solutions to do everything. So we want to, in the vein of the space, encourage people to use decentralized wallets. But in doing that, you're not hooked up to like a Coinbase or a MetaMask. You got your own wallet that you're managing yourself. No one has your keys. No one can take your stuff from you. But with that, there's a lot of challenges in getting that to work with different systems. So we want to build this decentralized exchange, which is different than Coinbase, which is a centralized exchange. This decentralized exchange that will allow you to buy crypto, convert crypto to fiat, which is regular money. We want to be able to make this kind of seamless. You're on mute, man.
now, yeah, I just took it off. Sorry. Is the intent, and I don't want to get too much in y'all business because I know y'all, trying to keep it on the wraps probably. But is this something going to be like an extension? Like I think in Cash App is very cool that I can actually send somebody crypto. I'm assuming will that be an extension to Cash App, or will this be its own like thing?
Yeah, it's not under wraps. We want to do this very, very transparently. So it's a protocol that anyone can use. So Cash App, yes, might be a company or a division that builds on top of this. Our competitors may be as well, right? So it's essentially a protocol that will enable anyone who wants to implement a decentralized exchange.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Let's move on because I could talk about this all day. Like I love this stuff. So let's talk a little bit about like the hype that I'm seeing, and it's really around NFTs, and that's really got people excited. Like when my mama calls me and says, "Hey, baby, can you get me an NFT? I know there's, I know that it's hit mainstream. You know, my mom's 80 something, right? Um, so I look at, you know, obviously NFTs as probably being the first major distributed app, you know, on top of blockchain. And it's obviously got a lot of people's attention. And I guess for the developer community that joined Hacking with the Homies, I'm just trying to think like, what should they be thinking about? You know how back in the day when you were building sites and you were like, okay, well, I need to know in a job interview, I need to be able to talk to like how to add a contact form and maybe a payment to a website or something like that. I'm like, should they be kind of knowing how to add, let's say, a MetaMask wallet to a website and how to incorporate or add NFTs to a website? Like what do you think? You think that some of those skills is what people should be focusing on?
Yeah. So the key to all of this is the wallet. So if I were to start somewhere, that's probably where I would start learning about the wallet, how to authenticate with it. So your wallet is going to essentially be the way that you log in. That might be the way you log into something. Your wallet, just if you think about your physical wallet, mentally we think, oh, my wallet holds my money. But if you look in your wallet, you have your ID, you have, pictures that are meaningful to you. You have different things in your wallet, and that's the same kind of metaphor here, right? So we'll have our crypto in there. We'll have our NFTs. We'll have decentralized. We'll have our identifiers, right? So that's another area that I'm looking at pretty heavily is decentralized IDs, which is really exciting to me. But yeah, I would start there looking at wallets. What are the different kind of wallets? What can a wallet hold? What can happen in a wallet? How do you connect for authentication purposes? For example, I have an NFT from the developer DAO, and that NFT is in my wallet, and I connect my wallet to Discord, and that's how they can verify that I'm a member of that DAO, right? So looking at those sorts of use cases, whatever you do, I implore you to not just jump into the development of it. Like, that's definitely cool. You definitely want to learn those skills, but beyond that, you need to think about the use cases. You need to think about the problem areas. If you're watching the news at all around this space, we're seeing lots of things go wrong with like smart contracts, for example, which are the programs that are running on these decentralized applications. So these programs, we all code, we know how bugs are. The blockchain is immutable, meaning like if something happens, you have this bug here deployed in the code. It's not as simple as like a quick fix, right? So again, when playing with people's money, so we need to be thinking, I love something about some testing. We need to be testing these applications. We need security folks thinking about this very deeply. We're seeing a lot of exploits with NFTs in the smart contracts and stuff like that too. So definitely stay tuned to what's going on. I'm going to be honest with y'all. It's too much of the Wild Wild West for me to invest my money personally. Meg, I don't have it like that to be playing in the Wild Wild West with my coins. So I'm not encouraging anybody to invest. It's not what I'm saying. I want you to take that away. What I'm saying is, from a technology standpoint, if we are in the tech space, there's definitely opportunities for us to help this settle down and not be the Wild Wild West that it is.
Well, I think you bring up a couple of good points. Like, I was going to talk about this a little later. I'm going to pull it up a little bit sooner now. Is that, like, you talked about smart contracts, and so I think obviously what you said. I think I agree with you totally. Like, understanding the wallet is the key, and I think that's that's the thing that will help you get a deeper understanding of Web3, and in particular, just kind of how crypto kind of works. Um, as a programmer, as you stated, smart contracts is where all the logic resides. Basically, they're basically it's the programming language of the blockchain for right now, right? So should developers be also looking into Solidity as well, and do you kind of see, is it too early? Because I was wanted to ask you, is it too early? Because to say that Solidity will be the de facto standard right now, kind of like how jQuery is now. Like everybody knows jQuery. jQuery is something that everybody kind of learns inside of the building a UI of that sort, or something of that sort. So what do you think about the
Yeah.
Solidity?
So Solidity is definitely the most popular DApp programming language, or smart contract programming language right now. There are a couple of others, but this one, if you were going to start with one, that's definitely one to start with. As we all know, things change in tech like nothing, right? That's the guarantee. It's going to change. So it could be another programming language next year, 2 years from now, whatever. But for right now, definitely Solidity is the way to go. And understanding like that language, and how to do how to work with wireless, how to work with like Web3 browsers and stuff like that.
No, and I think that's right, because I think like, I don't know, I have so many thoughts around this space, but I think understanding the concepts that's within Solidity, and how it interacts with the blockchain will be able to carry along with the developer if they move to a different language. So I think obviously starting somewhere. Everybody had that one programming language that they loved. So let me just ask you real quickly: what was your favorite programming language? Is it still Java, or
Of
are you?
course, y'all,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
y'all could answer that for me. Yes, Java. Java's my jam.
Okay, all right, got you. Now, really quickly,
Now
now,
we are using like Rust. I saw Tamika say Rust. Rust is being used. Go is being used. So these are languages that you may already know. They've been around for a while. If you prefer to use those cool. But Solidity is definitely what I'm seeing a lot of. And if you're looking to, break into the space or something like that, that's definitely one to keep on your radar.
got you. Okay, good stuff. What do you think about like, do you own any NFTs? Like, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned you own an NFT to be able to access I think you own an NFT that was, I guess, created for a DAO that you're proud of. And then do you own any other NFTs, or have you been staying away from the fad?
I'm staying away from the fan Nick. I respect what y'all doing, but like that ain't my jam. I have two.
Okay.
Neither one are like art or anything like that, and it's really interesting because skeptics will say like, oh, it's silly, it's frivolous. I can right click and now I own it. Like, it's,
Yeah.
I
No,
think that
no,
I think NFTs will evolve beyond the bored apes, right? That's the base use case, just kind of testing it out. This is your alpha, if you will, your stage mock data, if you will. This is going to evolve into something much bigger. Right now, the two NFTs that I have, one is to get me access into the DAO. So this proves my membership. And then the other one is access to another conference where they gave the speakers NFTs so that they can say, okay, yes, this is a speaker, right? I think we're going to see this all come together when we talk about like the metaverse. We'll see where the objects in there are NFTs, the clothes you're buying for your avatar, the furniture you're buying for your virtual home, all of this stuff was the NFTs. Also, I see like a really probable use case for companies like Ticketmaster that issue tickets to people, right? That might be in the form of an NFT. So it's going to go beyond just collectibles.
absolutely. Like, one of the things that I was thinking about from an NFT standpoint was, like offline, like validating, authenticating that you own this as NFT. Like, I understand, like, online, like how you're using it to validate that you are a member of this DAO. But like, if my shoe has an NFT embedded in it, and I wanted to prove that this is unique or a certified product, it's kind of hard to do. So I think there's going to be a lot of work in that space, as well, like how to kind of merge kind of the real world with this whole NFT movement. So I think that'll be interesting. Any thoughts there, or what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna, like, we're moving. We used to hear the term a lot about, digital transformation. That's where people are moving. I joke all the time about how much we live online right now, more than we care to admit. Like back in the day, I'm gonna be silly for a moment. Back in the day, if you were seen with your phone and you like, you would look ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, right? But we do this all the time now, and you don't care about looking silly in the real world if you're gonna look fly online, right? And so when we see this sort of thing, it's not hard to make that leap. Like, oh, we'll put on our our headsets and our VR stuff, and we don't mind looking ridiculous in the real world if we're going to be immersed online and cool online, right? And so we definitely see, like, already these paths that kind of connect the two.
Absolutely. So now, so one of our favorite things, one of my favorite things I'm kind of getting into is MetaVerse thing. So here goes a funny thing. I got a boy that he's into real estate, and he's been in real estate for a minute. He's actually one of the speakers tomorrow. He's on our panel tomorrow. His name is Chad Rose. So this whole MetaVerse thing has made, like, these people who do real estate, like in the real world, man, this is like blew their mind. They're like, man, I can go buy some land. I mean, and trust me, there's some people who are like, nah, I don't trust that. But some people who are like more innovative, more forward thinking, they're thinking like, wow, now I can extend my portfolio from being just physical properties and physical land to being like land in this MetaVerse. So I wanted to hear like what your thoughts is. And one other comment is like, he hit me up, right? Because I'm more of the technical guy, but he's actually jumped more into this MetaVerse thing than me. He's like, man, Sandbox is going to have a land sale. He was like, we need to go buy some land. He was like, it's going to be $25,000. I was like, okay. And he's, I'm going to get some guys together. We're going to buy it. But we ended up, and you start talking to brothers. They like, what, 5,000 a piece? Like, so it went down to being like we had $5,000. So we all was able to get $5,000, and the land sale happened, and it sold out immediately. It is absolutely nuts. So we got to wait to the next land sale. So, and we had to turn. So people who don't know, if you're doing stuff on Sandbox, their token is called sand. So we had to transfer money over to buy sand. So now it's just sitting in the wallet and sand, right? So because it costs money to move stuff around. So anyway, what's your thoughts about MetaVerse? And you talked about Sims, and this is so interesting. I know this is like part of your probably things you like talking about. What's your feeling? What's your thoughts there?
All right. So this is what I see is going to happen. And for those who don't know, like, I'm an inventor. So I like to think like, wow, crazy thoughts and, come up with ideas and stuff like that. So take it for what you want. But this is what I see is going to happen. The MetaVerse is what's going to connect all this stuff together, right? Crypto by itself, some people don't see the use case. NFTs by itself, they're like, what? Y'all paying this ridiculous amount for a monkey picture, right? MetaVerse is what's going to bring all of this together. So it'll be this virtual world, and you're exactly right. If you think about, like, when we all were born, everything was, all the territories and things were already claimed. So it's essentially like this way to start the world over and say, all right, who wants what? So people are naturally buying up a lot of the property and stuff because they want in, right? This is going to be like Chad World. in 2 years or whatever. And but like the metaverse opens so many other doors, right? So if you think about a storefront that you open locally, let's say I open something down the street, I sell whatever, hair products or something like that, right? So my clientele is pretty limited to the local people in New Orleans. I opened the same thing in the metaverse, and now I have like a global customer base where someone from France can walk into my store, and they can spend this money. The money is going to be the crypto, right? So now we have like this globally recognized currency. We don't have my country telling me I can't transact with you because you live in another country. We don't have these regulations and things. Instead, we're free to transact as we want. And I've now opened my business to this global audience space, right? Think about Beyonce. Beyonce got 3 children. She's not trying to fly all over the world, doing these concerts and stuff like that, right? She can go in the metaverse. She can do one concert. Everybody in the world come because now we have the space. Y'all come on, and I'm gonna do this one time.
Right.
And you pay your money, right?
Yep.
And now I got my whole bag from one performance, and I didn't have to leave the house. You see what I'm saying? Matter of
Yep.
fact, she can open it to open her home and say, "Y'all come to my virtual mansion in the metaverse, and come hang out with me. I'm gonna give a few people this opportunity, right?" So you start seeing like the possibilities that can exist, without us bummy people being in Beyonce's presence, but we could feel like we are when our avatars are connecting, right? So I was telling my siblings, we did like this cabin trip. We had all this trouble flying there. I said, this is gonna be the ghetto in a little bit. Like actually buying a flight, your flight is canceled, all of this stuff. That's played. It's gonna be the point where we all can teleport to a cabin, and we hang it together, our avatars, but we're controlling our avatars so we feel like we are physically together. So that's my take. That's what I think is going to happen. Like I said, NFTs are going to play a big role in that. That'll be like all of the things that we buy in the metaverse. The crypto, we need like this common kind of currency that's globally accepted, that doesn't have these rules based on what country you're residing in, because that's who cares about that in the metaverse, right? So that's where all of this stuff kind of plays out.
So thank you for that. That's kind of what I was thinking. So it's good to hear. Now, I wasn't thinking about teleporting yet. I was thinking about a hologram of myself. That's what that's what I'm thinking. That's going to be next. I'm gonna have a little hologram. I'm gonna pop up, and people are going to see me or whatever. Well, let me ask you this. As we know, just like in the e-commerce space, B2C really took off, right? And then social, right? Same thing. All the social networks took off, and then slowly, companies, enterprises started taking some of those technologies and incorporating them into their business, right? So obviously, the e-commerce made a lot of sense. They could transact with their core consistencies. And then for social, now you're seeing a lot of the apps that's inside of the enterprise have these social attributes to it, right? So you Slack, right now everybody's chatting away. If you look at any of these, ERP systems like Workday, they all have like social aspects to it. I was just wondering, what do you kind of foresee, enterprises, actually, taking from this? What do you kind of see the first thing enterprises will start uptaking?
Mac, I don't know, but they got something up their sleeve because all of them are jumping in, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it's comical when people act like, "Oh, this is all going to go away. This is nothing. It's a nothing burger." When I look around, I pay attention, Mac. I see all of the fame companies, besides Netflix, they're quiet, but I imagine they might jump in. But all the rest of the fame companies are already starting like crypto initiatives, or at least looking into it, or blockchain initiatives. I won't say crypto, but blockchain initiatives. The fintech companies are your Visa is in, what's the stadium where crypto.com just bought that one.
Yep.
Like, you start looking around, all the celebrities are getting in, the governments are trying to get in, right? So they see something here too. They see like, wow, okay, this way to globally transact means more money for everybody, and they want to get in. I don't know what everybody's game plan is, but trust me, they're gonna figure out their space in this new world.
So I agree. So this has been like super dope. I really appreciate you being here. We're gonna take some questions from people.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let people start pinging questions away, and I'll show them on the screen as they come up. But please ask your questions. We'll talk a little bit while we wait for questions to come in as well.
I wanna, as we're waiting for questions, I just want to say, if you're considering now, I would never you already know I'm not going to push you to invest in anything. Please know that I did not say that today. I do think as technologists, you should be paying attention. That doesn't mean you have to get into this space, but you definitely should be paying attention. Mac, you brought up a really good case where it's like, hey, your company might just want people to be able to authenticate using a wallet, right? So you're not necessarily dealing with the blockchain itself or anything like that, but this is another way to authenticate. So as technologists, we can't just like bury our head in the sand and say, no, I want no parts of that. I'm not dealing with it at all. It's here, it's coming even more. And so knowing about it and how to do like basic things with it, I feel is a good bet for your future, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think me and you were talking off camera, around this. We got a question here. If we want to contribute to open source tooling that you're creating with Block, what blockchain concepts and skills do we need before getting started? And I'll add on to that. Is the project actually public yet, or like is it on GitHub right now, or not yet?
It's on GitHub, but we don't have code right now. We have a white paper, so I would start there with just reading the white paper. The project is called TBDEX, so TBDEX, and we have the white paper up. We're getting started, so we're hiring like leads for the different components, and we're getting ready to start cranking out code and inviting you all to contribute if you want to. We don't have I can't tell you the language. I don't think we're using Solidity. But
and the project's TBDX?
TBDEX.
EX. Okay, thanks.
And it might have them numbers in the chat. I don't need.
We're trying to Google it right now. We'll put it into the chat. No worries about it.
All right.
Keep going.
But yeah. So with that, and that's my job to basically put a lot of educational materials out so that you all can understand what we're doing and understand how to contribute. And I'll help you in learning these sorts of things. So definitely wallets, definitely decentralization, definitely the blockchain itself. How does that work, right? What can you do and what can't you do there? Crypto, how exchanging and decentralized identities is going to be a very big part of this as well, because as much as we want to act like all of this stuff is permissionless, yeah, it is when I'm on the blockchain, but when I try to get off, I'm making bank in the metaverse, Meg. I'm running my little po' boy shop in the metaverse, and I'm making a whole bunch of money. But in real life, I'm broke because all my money is in the blockchain. So I need to be able to take this off ramp and be able to convert it to US dollars so I can live, a nice life outside of that as well. And so that's what we're focused on. How do you do that? And when you do that sort of thing, let's be realistic. Now we are engaging with, centralized systems to be able to do that. So there's some things that are going to have to, some compromises that are going to have to have to be made. So we're trying to figure out how to do that in the best way possible, like decentralized identifier. So I don't have to give you my social security and, you know, my address and everything about me in order to, you know, buy something. But I can essentially give you what you need to know. What do you need to know? That I'm over 21 so that I can buy liquor or whatever. Okay, here's that much information.
No, that's good. Is this the project here? Is this the link?
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So I just put it in the chat for everybody to check that out. Let's see here. Crypto fund. If you would you be a fund manager? Tamika's like, would you start your own crypto fund or DAO? If so, would you be a fund manager?
I wouldn't do either of that, Tamika. So here's the thing, and that I'm in this space, but I'm not in the cult, right? And a lot of people call this like cultists, and we need more of us in here that are not like drunk off the Kool-Aid. So there's people on both sides that are advocates for crypto and ones that are not. And all of them are, you know, a bit obnoxious, right? So that's something that I want to bring to the space, like some level-headedness. This is not like a end all be all, we have to do this sort of thing. Okay, it's a solution to some interesting problems. Sure, why not? And we do it, and we figure out how to solve a lot of these issues. That's my thing. I don't have laser eyes in my picture. I don't have, you know, no ape NFTs. I don't have the Angie.eth as my name on Twitter. Like none of that. Very just kind of level-headed approach to it, and I welcome more people in the space who can take that same thing, because that's the only way we're going to move forward. We can't just ignore the problems because we're super excited about the technology. We have to be realistic about the problems that are in the space and be able to solve them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, this has been one of the best talks I've had. And just for everybody to know, like me and Angie, like we really didn't talk beforehand. We wanted to make this conversation very real. So this was like a very real conversation, and I learned a lot from her today, and hopefully you did too. So Angie, I really appreciate you. Keep doing what you do. I'm following you, seeing your every move. I think people who are serious about this, want to definitely, I guess, move on to the next era, right? In the web world, need to really think about, maybe perhaps, working at Block, right? And contributing to this project. And I think it's interesting. And I think real quick, I'm gonna say one thing, and it kind of telling me I got to get off stage, move to the next thing. Is that I want to see more African American people contributing to open source projects. And I think if you do that, I think it'll open up a lot of opportunity to you. There's a lot of people that just, they see the code that you're contributing, and that's a good, for what I see, and I don't know, Angie, if you agree or not, but it's a good way to build a pipeline of developers that they can hire, because they know your work ethic, they know some of the logic, and you're starting to interact with the team, right? So right. I don't know, Angie, do you agree with that? Is that a good
Yes, I definitely agree with that. It's a way to kind of, because if you're looking to go into space, unfortunately, y'all know how it is. Even though this is something that's new, people just starting to like develop this stuff, the company still wants some sort of experience on your resume. This is a great way to get that experience, to be able to contribute to open source projects, learn about this, not just in your own sandbox, but actually contributing to something real. And then you can put that on your resume, and now you have the experience needed in order to get the job if you want. If I could leave the audience with one more thing, Mac, I'm going to put a link in here. Me and Kelsey Hightower, who keynoted last year, we had a really good Twitter space, a conversation. Kelsey is a skeptic of the blockchain. I am an advocate of it. Usually you see folks screaming and yelling at each other about this stuff because people are so passionate. But this was a nice level-headed conversation amongst peers. There was a lot of enjoyment. I think it's up to like 78,000 viewers. So wow. This was just last Friday. So y'all check that out. Definitely a good conversation.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Angie.